Ready?
Ready.
So welcome back. We're gonna do. We were supposed to do like the fighter announcement thing, where we're like, "Hey, tonight's fight, we've got the quad cortex in the blue shorts and the action effects in the red shorts." But we just kind of.
Why do I get the red shorts?
And do you want blue shorts?
Yes.
Do you know statistically, red always seems like to win? I think there's like a thing about like psychologically people like to see red win over blue. So
I went to public high school, so I don't know what that means.
Really, what we're gonna do is see like who sounds better, like who nailed it in the box better. I'm gonna go ahead and say I've had both, and you've been over to hang out. Long story short, you probably get professional results with both, but I think the quad cortex just does a better job because the user interface is a lot better.
You know, you say that, but I set up my presets, 10 minutes before you did?
You did. You son of a bitch. You did beat me. Yeah, you did beat me. To be fair, yeah, you did definitely beat me. You made your patches a lot faster than I did, but I also have the big dumb. I don't know.
Great start.
Yeah, this is going horribly. No, so like what we're gonna do is we're gonna DI a guitar track into both, and then we're gonna take that DI signal out of my RME interface into both interfaces or into both modelers, and just basically see if given the same exact signal, which box is gonna nail that tone or that amp better. So we matched amps based on what the manufacturers said, and we also matched amp cabs.
So it's important to know we're not going to be using a shared IR. We are using just the in-the-box IRs that match the amplifiers, which we're doing the twin, so a 212 with eminences. We're doing a Plexi Marshall jumped, so matching 412 with the greenbacks, and we're doing the 5153 with the matching EVH 412 cabinet, all using the 57 microphone, basically spot onto the cone.
Yeah, so each box is modeling what each company says they think was the best they could do. Are you ready for tonight's fight, Kyle?
Yes, sir.
Whose corner are you in? Do you plead the fifth?
Sure.
Okay. So we're gonna grab some DIs. We're gonna plug them into these boxes. We're gonna record them. We're gonna A and B them, and at the end of the video, we'll let you know which one was which. But place your bets now, people of the internet, and see which. I don't know. I don't even know why we're doing this, right? People are going to be okay. People are going to be happy. We're going to probably piss some people off.
There's going to be someone in the comments somewhere that's upset that we didn't do things certain ways, but that's not the point of this. We're not trying to see how close they can sound to each other. We're trying to see what they sound like, factory settings, factory firmwares, which we are both fully updated to firmware. So I'm Cygnus 4.1, and I don't know what you're at.
I'm the latest one. I don't keep track. Because I'll be honest, I only bought the quad cortex to troll the internet. I made this whole entire channel for like recording, but it should have been like the quad cortex, because that's my saving glory. So let's do it.
Yeah.
want to go first?
No, you go ahead. This is your channel.
Dude, I think the XFX totally loses. And I know a bunch of people are going to be like, what the f-? But I hear the same thing. That's the reason why I left the XFX platform. And I think it's great. And all the music that I've ever made, I always look back and I go like, oh, dude, that sounds really good. It's just that there's this... It sounds like a real amp, and I think it responds. And there's definitely some places where like the XFX platform really shines. But I like with a production degree and whatever that I have, like it's so hard to wrestle that into like an album where I feel like the quad cortex in a recording it sits in a mix a lot better. That's my biggest thing, is that I feel the quad cortex is easier to navigate. Yes, I know you beat me building the patches, and I also feel that it sits into a mix a lot faster. Your turn.
Well, it's important to know that, of course, we were set 50-50 on everything, with the exception of the Plexi.
The Plexi was pushed fully, and I feel the reaction of the Plexi was better in the XFX, for sure.
And it's important to notate in this video that for the Plexi patches, we cranked everything, because I've never played a modeler that did the Plexi thing right. As we proved, the quad sounded like shit for it. Yeah, that's the point. All right.
You son of a bitch.
So I think they both sounded good. I think the Fractal definitely had a lot more going on. It had a lot more body and a lot more to play with. I don't disagree with you in saying that the quad might be a little bit more mix friendly out of the box, but the flexibility I have with the Fractal is way more superior than what I've got with a quad. And I have 3 times the amount of amps, 80 times the amount of cabinets, way more effects that actually don't suck. An I.O. that isn't trash. Actually, I take that back. My I.O. is trash. But I stand by my point.
So how much does that thing cost?
$1,200.
Okay, that is a lower price point than the quad
like
cortex.
$600 or $700 less than yours.
That's significant. You only have 3 foot switches, and I've got more. I've got 12, I think.
You do have more, but...
No, I've got 10. I can't count.
With the programming I've got done on the FM3 now, it does everything I want it to do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at this point, like, I'm not even using the foot switches unless you want to be like a stomp box kind of guy, which, I mean, that's... I use this for, like, whenever I'm jamming, I use this, like, in a stomp box setup, and I really dig that. That's a lot of fun. The Helix was, like, the first modeler that I used that I really dig. Again, like I'll be straight up honest, like because I sold my XFX3. The user interface I like a lot better on the quad cortex, and I think the user interface is better, and I think the results are a lot more mix friendly. And I do think, for sure, you've got more stuff, for sure, because the XFX has been around for so long. Like you guys got, you have more cab sims. You have more amps, and this is controversial, but whatever. This is the internet. That's why we're here, right? Because we're all guitar nerds, and we just want something to tweak our knobs about. I think quad cortex just does it better. We don't have as much because we're taking the time to do that stuff a little bit better with newer technology. Not to say anything that has ever been done with XFX is a wrong or a problem, because I know some people are going to flip out about that. But like, it's just newer technology, and I think it's done to a different extent where there's a lot of legacy going on with XFX. Ooh, you look so mad. Are you the internet right now?
No,
Are you about to bite my head off?
No, I was going to say that you're definitely right on the interface. The interface is better on the quad.
Because you got this after I got the quad cortex.
Yes, that is correct. Mix friendly, probably, sure. I think the patches would sound a lot closer to each other if we had like a shared IR. That's probably a big part of it.
So does that mean we've got to do another video?
Maybe.
Like, what's the amp versus the amp? Because there is a lot going on. So like, maybe we just made this video to mess with the internet about, these like 2 heavy hitters. Because if I'm not mistaken, the hard or the software you got going on in there, is that the same in like the latest XFX3?
Yeah. Yep.
So maybe we're gonna have to sit down and do just the amp out into a powered cab and see like, hey, just a processing of the amp. And I bet if we do that, the differences are going to be super small, because like a cab sim is huge.
Yeah, and it's important to know too that you know, I think comparing the two units, they're both modelers and they both sit in the same category, but I think they both appeal to different people. I think the quad appeals to that guy that's just getting into it, or girl who's just getting into it, and they want the mix-friendly, the easy-to-use unit.
Okay. I'm just getting into it, I guess.
Or you have the people who want the Fractal thing, where they want the tweakability of, I want to change my preamp tubes, I want to change my power amp tubes, I want to control the sag voltage of my amplifier. Like, your shit can't do that.
No, it can't. Yeah,
Mine can do all of that.
So if you want to dive in deep, the AxeFX has things, dude. I remember going into the editor and just thinking, like, I don't even know what this means. Like, what is this? And I learned a lot about, like, what happens in an amplifier because I had the options to tweak them in the AxeFX. Well, you don't have that in here.
Right. And, like, well, even from, like, a tweaky amp guy, like, I'm one of those douchebags on the internet that says, I've owned every amplifier ever.
Oh, you have, though.
I've owned quite a few, yeah. I am one of those guys where it's like, oh, I have a Marshall, cool, whatever. I want to hear the difference between a JJ12AX7 versus a Gold Line versus this, and the Fractal gives me that.
Dude, because be honest, like, when I have those questions, you and Ray, who has also been on the channel, are the people I come to, because I'm not one of those guitar players. And I think that's a very important thing to say between us is, like, I remember reading about John Mayer talking about not wanting to do a setup. Like, he doesn't even know, like, how to do it. Like, he's just like, I don't want, he probably does, but he had said, like, I just don't want to be on the side of fixing guitar. I want to be the side of playing it. And that was a decision he made, like, when he was in Berkeley. And for me, like, I'm not an amp builder, and I don't even know what that is. I want to be able to plug my guitar into an amp and just go, like, that sounds great.
Well, so am I. I'm also not the super tweaky type, but I enjoy that I have a unit now where I've done all the tweaking throughout my playing, and now I can just pick what I like, which is cool.
It is really cool. It's just not for me, but it's for you.
At the end of the day, they're both awesome.
They really are. I look back on, like, a lot of my songs that I've made with the AxeFX, and I just go, like, dude, it sounds awesome, but it was a lot of pain for me to get to those points. I think if you want more control, you definitely go with the AxeFX. If you want a little bit more speed, if you want more control, you go with the AxeFX. But I think if you want a little more speed without having to think so much about it or know so much about it, I think the Quad Cortex. But what do you think of that?
You are missing the biggest point, though. You obviously go with Fractal because you can actually get it.
Ouch. Okay.
Yeah. So, what would you rather do? Would you rather wait for a unit that's more expensive and probably maybe never ever get it, or do you want to buy something you can get tomorrow? I don't know.
Okay, so currently that is a really good point because of the supply chain issues. The AxeFX is a lot more. It is more readily available. The Quad Cortex is definitely hitting some, and that's a really good point. And that's one of those things, like, we negotiate as musicians, like, what's. Well, I guess now, because usually that wasn't the case. Well, sometimes AxeFX had issues.
A little bit, but in this scenario,
in the beginning.
And it's not even like in this scenario.
They hand make all the stuff in the U.S. too.
Well, yeah, for sure, but it's not even like a compromise. That's the thing about this scenario too. It's like, it's not like you're compromising by getting a Fractal over a Neural or vice versa. It's not a compromise. It's simply a preference.
I think so. Like, really, that's really what it boils down to. I do. I listen to some of my favorite artists are still using AxeFX, and I go, dude, I don't know how they got it to sound that way, but they did. Like,
the album that sold me on AxeFX, Periphery's Juggernaut, is AxeFX Direct with cab IRs.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things, like, I remember reading, like, about Misha, and he was like, Misha said something about somebody who was like, I was reading an interview, and he said, have you ever just handed your guitar to somebody, like, your whole entire rig, just hand them your guitar, like, do they even sound like you?
Oh yeah, no,
no, they don't.
People used to bitch all the time because Eddie Van Halen would do that. When people would come to his shows, he'd be like, yeah, fuck, play my stuff. And then everyone would play like, I don't sound like Eddie. And then Eddie would play on their stuff. And he's like, oh, he sounds like Eddie.
Yeah, because that's one of those things is, like, what you're looking for is partially within, like, you, no matter how hippie that sounds, but, like, also you're just trying to unlock that within the gear. And I think really you could probably get both. Because I listen to some of my old stuff that was on AxeFX, and I go, dude, that sounded awesome. Yes. Your stuff as well, man. Like, I mean, you've played on both now. Like, what do you think? Like,
I think they're both cool. I mean, like, we're talking modeling versus modeling too. That's the important thing. We're not talking effects. We're not talking the whole neural capture thing, which neural capture on its own is the magic of this box. Let's not kid ourselves. That is the magic of the quad cortex.
Which we did the Kraken thing with.
Yeah, I mean that's why you buy a quad cortex. You don't buy it for the modeling necessarily. You buy it for neural capture because that shit is so good.
I think the modeling's pretty good.
The modeling's not bad. I mean, this test today proved that the modeling's not bad. It's all really good.
It's not bad.
I just think the Fractal's got more balls.
Okay. Oh, okay. I think my genuine opinion in my ear, I feel like the XFX initial patches without doing anything sounds a little bit dated at this point. I don't feel like it fits well into like modernized recordings. Like if you're just like, hey, I just want to jack into an awesome studio and hear the way this should sound like in a studio that was really tuned and ready. I feel like you get faster results from this for the quad cortex, but I know that you can get that within the XFX. It just takes a little bit more. And I think the biggest thing, it really does come down to the cab sims. It's not that the programming or modeling there, it's the cab sim. If you know anything about like IR responses, I think the IRs in there just weren't done as well. That's my opinion.
I'll close it out on this easy comparison. XFX, need 5088. Quad cortex, Behringer X32 producer.
Oh, what? No.
No balls.
No.
No balls.
Dude, no.
British iron. No balls.
Well, we'll see what the internet thinks about your opinion.
Tell us what you think in the comments.
Yeah, let us know what you think. This was like we did straight up 50, like everything was at noon for everything except for the Plexi, which we pushed everything to 10.
Everything was
just
done.
To see how like we could push it. I do think that the XFX produced a more realistic response. Also, side note, we did take a DI of the guitar performance and then sent that to each box. So each performance you're listening to is the exact same performance at the exact same levels, which we've matched in post. So you are hearing what that box would do with these same settings versus the other box with the exact same performance, which I think is a really big thing. I don't see a lot of people doing that online, which is another thing why I've been trying to do this. And I get it. It's a little bit of an extra step, but that's one of the things that I've done for this to make sure, like, are we really comparing apples to apples? Is it the same performance, same guitar? So the Plexi and the Fender is Kyle playing through his Fender Stratocaster. The 5150 model is me playing through my AZ, my Ibanez Prestige. Again, same DI, same performance, just sent to each individual unit and then recorded separately. So you're hearing the box, you're hearing apples versus apples. If you played the same thing through each one, what would it sound like? I still prefer the Cortex.
And I still think McDonald's makes the best French fries. Your point being? Let us know what you think. Best French fries, best fast food French fries. Let's go.
All right, thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed.